Hi guys, I hope that you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about burnout and how to avoid burnout, how to keep it at arm's length. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I am committed on here to helping you guys heal and grow. I'm committed to helping you guys reach your goals and achieve your dreams in a sustainable and fun way. And if we do not understand what burnout is and how to avoid it, we're vulnerable to it. And people that go through burnout can all say that it's not a fun experience and it's something that delays you achieving your dreams. A lot of the times it could be something that allows you to pivot and actually focus on your dreams and focus on what matters. But one can still burn out, right? Listen to that clearly. One can still burn out doing things that they enjoy. And so even if you know that you're on the path of your dreams, you're living out your purpose, one can still burn out. And so it's important to understand, how do you avoid it? How do you keep it at arm's length? And that is exactly what we're talking about today. So we'll first talk about the definition. So we all know what I'm talking about when I say burnout. Burnout on the Cambridge Dictionary is defined as an extreme tiredness or mental or physical illness caused by working too hard or trying to do too much. So again, on this definition, it's very, very clear that this is an illness and that it happens when you work too much or you do too much. You're trying to put too much on your plate that you can't handle. And my personal definition as to how I would describe burnout to someone is something that happens to you when let me see what I wrote down. It's something that happens to you when you don't have energy anymore and you are forced to rest. Like all of your energy batteries, all of your recharge batteries, rescue batteries, all of them are depleted and now you are forced to rest, you are forced to recharge. And that happens when you give more energy than you have consistently towards something. And that something can be something that you like or something that you don't. So obviously, if you consistently give energy that you don't have to something that you enjoy, you probably will be able to take into your energy reserves a lot more than if you're giving your energy towards something that you don't like. So that's already giving you kind of one tip as to how to avoid burnout. If you're able to do something that you enjoy, you're less likely to fall to burnout because you can exert yourself a little bit more. You can stretch yourself slightly more just because what you're doing brings you purpose, brings you joy, and it feeds back energy to you. The way energy works a lot of the times is obviously when you exert yourself and you do something, you're depleting yourself of that energy. But when you do something, when you use that energy to do something that matters to you, that you enjoy, energy comes back to you. If you love working out and you exert yourself a lot, so obviously you come home, you're tired, but you feel energized, you feel replenished, you feel like endorphins were released, I feel better today. If you, for example, when I do my channel, if I'm exerting energy by talking to you and sharing things with you and, having my brain activated and making sentences that make sense, so that takes away some of my energy, but at the same time, it brings me so much back because it brings me joy, it brings me purpose. I feel like it's kind of a transaction. So there's more of a transaction that's happening when you're doing something that matters to you. If I was spending all of my time swimming. I don't like swimming. If I was spending all of my time swimming and exerting more energy than I do have to force myself to swim, I'd probably get and reach a burnout point a lot faster than if I was going to the gym and lifting weights, right? And so that's something to keep in mind, is that you can burn out with something that you really like and something that you don't like, but you probably will burn out faster doing something that you don't like, which already gives you the first tip. One of the ways to avoid burnout is to find the things to give energy to that matter to you and that you do enjoy. That's the first tip, but we'll go to the tip section in a bit, but I'm already sprinkling them around as required. Okay, just before we go into the actual tips as to how to avoid burnout, I want to talk about why this is important. And I feel like I've mentioned this a little bit, but the reason why this is important is because, one, you don't want to burn out. Honestly, it's not a fun thing. And the reason why I'm saying that it's not a fun thing is because, like a lot of illnesses, prevention is more effective than treatment. When you are ill, you are now forced, literally you're forced, you don't have the freedom anymore to choose to focus or not on this thing. Now you're ill, you have to go to treatment. You have to get treated, you have to rest. Whereas if you're preventing said illness, in this case, burnout, if you're preventing that, you have the choice. You have the freedom to choose to prevent this. So you have the freedom to choose to, rest and take time for yourself because you don't want to get to a point where now you're forced to choose to rest. So you're not actually choosing, you're forced to rest. It's the same thing with like other videos that I've done about health, for example, and how prevention is so much more important than treatment. And I'll leave the videos up there and the links in the description, in the show notes, if you're interested to talk about more about like health and how to become a health queen. That's, I think, how it was titled. But that's why it's super important to know this, is that when you get into burnout, actual real burnout territory, you're devoid of choice. You lose your freedom to choose to rest or not. And the thing that you enjoy doing, let's say you burn out because you were doing something that you really, really enjoy, you now are forced to take an extended period of time to rest and recharge. Because think about it, if you feel like you're getting a little bit in the red zone and you feel like depleted of your energy and you consistently don't allow yourself to recharge and get new energy back into your body, and you're consistently using your reserve, at some point, everything will be depleted. You won't have any reserve, nothing at all. And to get all of your reserves charged up, plus what you have on overflow, it'll take so much time. And sometimes people burn out for months, and they're recovering for months from this before they can go back to an activity, before they can even handle mild amount of stress. And so that's why the purpose of this is to remind you again as the importance of preventing something rather than treating it. And that's why this video is titled How to Avoid Burnout, how to prevent it, how to allow us to maybe flirt with it, but never fully commit to that relationship, if that makes sense. Okay, so now let's move on to the actual tips. For once, I feel like I'm going to do a relatively snappy, quick little video and little podcast for you guys. It's not going to like last forever, which is good because I don't have a lot of time today to edit and do all that. Anyways, let's get into it. So the first thing that I mentioned as well earlier is that to avoid burnout, it's a lot better to focus and spend your energy and your time on things that actually do matter to you and that you enjoy and that they bring you purpose or they bring you fun, whatever it is, something that brings you back energy at the same time as you're exerting yourself to do that thing, if that makes sense. That's a way to avoid burnout because it's a lot less likely for you to burn out of something that you have kind of a symbiotic relationship where things flow in both sides. You lose energy by doing it, but the thing that you're doing brings you so much purpose and joy and fun that it brings back energy to you. So you never get into like a red zone, right? That's the first thing. But obviously remind yourself that if you continue to exert yourself so much on this thing, even if it's bringing you back something, exertion already always takes more energy than what you get back a lot of the times. So if you do that over a very long period of time without ever recharging, without ever taking a break, without ever taking the weekend off or whatever, you will still burn out, even if you're doing something that you do really, really enjoy. However, on the other side, if you're doing something that you don't enjoy at all, that doesn't bring you joy, that doesn't fill your cup, that doesn't do anything really good for you, that you just don't like, that thing's not bringing back energy. In fact, you're giving energy to it by exerting yourself to do that task, to do this thing, but simultaneously, because this is not bringing anything back to you, it's almost depleting you even more. Because now you come home and you're like, I didn't like this, this was not fun, like, oh, this coworker was not good to me, oh, my boss is still so annoying. And so the task itself of the job you don't like, but on top of that, there might be other things that you don't enjoy that are depleting you even more, meaning that your energy reserves are depleting even faster, which means that burnout territory is a lot closer to you. The thing you can do with that, because obviously life is not all sunshines and rainbows. You can't always do whatever the hell you want to do. That's not how it works. Sometimes you can't do what you want to do. So what you can try to do is to try to reframe what it is that you're doing. Meaning, if you don't like the job that you're doing, try to find at least the positives and be like, okay, I don't like this job that I'm doing. I don't like this thing that I'm doing, but I really like my coworkers. So I'm going to focus on spending a bit more time with them to foster better relationships. So at least there's something that I'm looking forward to when I go to my job. Or, okay, I don't like this job, but I'm going to make it a thing to really start focusing on trying to find a new job, finding something that I enjoy. Or I don't like this job, but I'm going to make it a thing to, the moment my work is done, I immediately going to spend some of the money that I've earned that I've earned with this job to go to a class that I really like, to invest in myself in a way that will bring me back this energy. So you can go back home feeling that you have received a little bit of energy back to some of the things you've done during that day, even though the big chunk of your day, which is your job, was not something that you've enjoyed so much. That's the first thing to avoid burnout, is to try to find Try to do tasks that actually bring you something to you: joy, purpose, happiness, fulfillment, contentment, whatever it is. And if you can't do that, try to look at your situation in a way that you could extract as much as you can of those positive feelings that will give you energy back. So it means that you're not as dangerously flirting with that burnout line. So that's the first thing that I want to tell you guys. The next thing is that when you have extra busy weeks, this can happen to any one of us. It can happen to people that actually enjoy what they do on a day-to-day, or people that do not enjoy what they do on a day-to-day. Some weeks are extra busy. Some weeks are extra heavy in what it is that we have to do. And every single day is a 12-hour day. Every single day there's so much to do on the list, and you feel like you don't have time to rest. During these weeks, make rest intentional, as in like make it a real priority for you to rest and to do things when you finish your day that will fill back your cup as much as possible. Because again, if you think about burnout as a way where you're exerting your energy, losing your energy stores, and you sometimes going into like your reserve energy stores, you want to make sure that when you're in weeks where you're flirting with that line, where you're flirting with burnout, where things are a little bit more tight and you feel like your whole energy is getting depleted really heavily, you have to make it intentional to spend the time that you do have where you're not working crazily to recharge your batteries. And that can mean anything for anyone. So maybe it's a bath for you. Maybe it's a really good meal that you cook. Maybe it's the best workout class that you've thought about and that you've gone to for a while. Maybe it's just reading. Maybe it's just vegetating on the couch. Whatever it means to you, please make sure that you make the time to rest in an intentional way. Make it a task if you're task oriented. Yeah, that is really important. And then coming off of that, another thing that might be important for a few of you, if you don't know what you need to recharge, it might be a good idea to start reflecting on it. And you can journal on it. You can just spend time with yourself thinking about what it is that you need to recharge. What are the activities that bring you joy? Because you never know when a hard week is gonna be sprung on you. You don't know when these things happen, but when they do happen, they come in fast, they come in quick, they come in sometimes without any warning. And so it's important for you to know, okay, right, when these things happen, this is my protocol. This is what I'm doing. In an emergency, heavy week situation, this is what I'm doing. I'm, dropping one gym day a week. I'm going to the park instead and walking around. I'm journaling more. I'm making sure that I'm sleeping at this time. So just so you have like an emergency protocol when things get tough, so that you don't have to think. When you're already deflated, your brain is so exhausted, it doesn't want to think again and feel like, what can I do to feel better? No. While you do feel good, try to reflect on what it is that you need that you would need when you're going through a tougher week, a week where you have a lot less energy to give and a lot less energy within yourself. What are the things that can help you to replete and restore and recharge that energy for yourself? So that's the thing that's really important to do. The fourth thing that I want to tell to you guys about today is a lot of the times when we go through like burnout feelings. I've never gone through burnout, by the way, so I can't really say, oh, this is what burnout feels like. But I go through sometimes days where I feel like I have no energy at all and I've really depleted it all. And I'm like, this is dangerous, because if I continue doing this, I'm not gonna be able to do anything at all. And I need to rest now. I need to make rest a priority right now. If not, I'm not gonna be functional at all for the rest of the week or for the rest of the month or whatever it is. So one of the things with burnout or burnout feelings that we can call, or feeling like you're really flirting with that line and your energy levels are very, very low that you can give and exert. One of the things that I've noticed is that sometimes you feel those things because you're giving your energy in a way that is not productive, or you're spending a lot of energy on a task that is you just feel like, this is stupid. Why am I spending all of my time doing this when I have so many other things to do? And you just feel like you have to do this task before you can get to the next task. And sometimes just thinking about taking a step back and thinking, is there a way to do this task more efficiently? Is there a way for this task to be more fun to do? Is there a way for me to ask for help so that I can divide this task for two people instead of just me doing it? So a lot of the times you kind of notice that when something becomes really, really hard, really, really difficult, and really like you're feeling like you're hitting your head against a wall, it's important to realize, okay, am I hitting my head against the wall for a good reason? As in, is there no other way to get through this wall? Or if I take a step back, is there actually a little door on this wall that I can just take and not have to hit my head against it to make a hole in it and go through it? So sometimes when things get really tough at work, at home, try to think, is there a more efficient way to go about this problem that could help me not deplete my energy so much and then flirt with the burnout line? The next thing is implement as much as you can, especially when you feel like you need it, a no work day, a day where you're like, right, I'm not going to do anything at all. That's something that I've done last weekend when I went to see one of my friends. I literally was like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to record a video. I'm not going to edit a video. I'm not going to do anything for my master's. I need just time off. I need time for my brain to just exist and flow and not have anything to think about and just exist. And so that really, really restored me so much that when I came back here, I was like so fresh, so refreshed, and I was ready to come back up and work. And it was only 2 days of not working, but it really rejuvenated me in a way that I was like, right, there's real value in having no work days where you're like, the most productive thing I can do right now is do nothing. The most productive thing I can do right now is not be productive at all, because that will help me again recharge my batteries, recharge my energy so that I can then spend it in a really good way next week. The other thing as well with energy and recharging your energy is that when you're spending energy that you have an excess of, it's fun. It doesn't feel depleting. It doesn't feel, oh my God, I'm doing this and I just don't want to, because it's overflowing. You have an excess of it. So it's easy to just spend it. You're like, oh, like I have an excess of it. But if you're going into your savings, you think twice, do I need to spend this? Do I need to spend this energy on this thing? It's the same with money, right? If you have an excess of money, it's a lot easier to be like, right, I can just pay for this. But if you're then going to be like, oh, this thing that I'm going to pay for will have to come out of my savings account, now you're thinking a bit more, or it feels a lot, your heart feels a little bit more constricted when you have to spend that money that was money that you wanted to save. It's the same thing with energy. When you're spending energy that you have, but that is in your savings account, something that you don't want to touch unless it's an emergency, it doesn't feel the same way. It feels more constricting. It feels more like you're like going slower, a bit more going through mud rather than nicely swimming through water. And that's really, really important to remember that if you have ways to recharge that allow you to recharge an overflowing cup rather than just recharge your savings of your energy, you're going to start to notice that it's so much lighter to go through life when you're spending energy that you have an excess of rather than energy that you're quickly trying to hoard and save, because that's your safety net. The moment all of the energy in your savings is gone, you're in burnout territory. You have burnt out. You are burning out, So that's another thing I want to say. The next thing I want to say to you guys is make sure that you have other things that you do in your life, because we have different types of energy, right? The energy that I use to film versus the energy that I use when I'm at uni, versus the energy that I use when I'm a medical student, versus the energy that I use when I'm being social, versus the energy that I use when I'm at the gym, is all part of my energy stores, but they're all different strands, all different streams, all different types of the energy that I hold within me. And so in life, it's good to try to keep some balance, meaning that every day I kind of touch every single energy store, doing something that I enjoy, meaning that I deplete some of my energy, but by doing that activity, I'm also receiving some energy back. So all of my energy stores are always around the same level. That's something that you want. You don't want, and that's not just like every single day. It's more like over a month, over a year, over like, over a quarter. When you look at your energy levels, they feel like they're all kind of equal. What you don't want is spending all of your time, all of your energy on one thing, because that will deplete that particular energy store, bring that completely to zero. And that still means that you are in burnout territory for that one thing in your life. And because you have one of those energy stores at zero, it still means that you're going to be forced to rest. It doesn't mean that, my energy store for university is at zero, but it's fine. I'm still chilling. I'm still living, and I'm still chirpy. No, you have one of your energy stores that is at zero, like nada. It still means that now you're going to be forced to rest, to replete, to restore that, recharge that, bring it back up to the level of the others or more, start to overflow, and then you can continue to get back to a balanced life, right? If your life, you take out uni, you take out your job, your life is not balanced anymore, and you have to figure out a way to get back to balance, get back to something that makes sense to you. or find a new balance altogether. But all of these things require you to rest and require you to be forced to rest and restore and recharge. Okay, I think we're getting on to the last two things. Okay, penultimate thing that I want to say is, if you struggle with being like, right, what can I do to rest? What can I do to feel better? Remind yourself that the basics are basics and fundamentals for a reason. Sometimes the fancy stuff, the things that people tell you, oh, this is the thing to do, sometimes, yeah, it's good to do them. But when you're confused and when you're lost, go back to the basics, go back to the easy, fundamental things that make sense and that have been proven time and time again. Meaning, eat well, sleep well, exercise, and go outside. Spend time outside with the outdoors, with the nature. Go back to those basics, have those basics on lock, and prioritize those basics when things get a little bit tough, and you'll notice that you allow yourself to not tip into the burnout territory, right? If you feel like you are like, I've exerted myself too much, I don't know how I feel right now, I feel like I have no energy anymore, I can't do anything, remind yourself, okay, for the next week, I'm gonna go to bed on time, I'm gonna make good food, I'm gonna make time to exercise, and I'm gonna spend time outside. You'll notice, okay, I've got control on this, and I can make sure that I'm not burning out. And then the last thing that I want to remind you, that I think I've said already, but understand and allow yourself to have this mindset shift. Honestly, for me, it took a very long time to accept that, to see it, to appreciate it. But understand that sometimes the least productive thing you can do on paper is the most productive thing that you can do long term, right? Life is not made just of today. Right? Life is made of all of the days that you've lived up until now and all of the days that are about to come for you. And so life is not measured in how today was. Life is measured in how was the last few months for you? What are the next few months looking like for you? And so sometimes the most productive thing you can do today in this moment is to take a step back and do nothing, to allow yourself to have enough energy to create, to spend on tomorrow, right? So that you can create the life that you want. We're not a computer that just never runs out of battery. And even then, a computer sometimes needs to be recharged. You can't always just bring it around your laptop all around the world. At some point, it's going to die. And if you don't sit down with your charger and put it in a wall, in a socket, your computer's not going to, wake back up. It needs to be charged. At some point, it needs to just be put in the same spot for a couple of hours or a couple of minutes to recharge. It's the same thing with you. So sometimes the most productive thing you can do is the least productive thing. Same, if you continue the analogy with a computer, if you charge your computer while it's doing nothing, it's just switched off, it's going to charge a lot faster than if you charge it while you're simultaneously editing, recording something, watching a YouTube video, right? Because it's at the same time as it's getting energy, it's also spending it at the same time. Same thing with you. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is allow yourself to recharge while doing nothing else, because that will be the quickest thing. Hence why you might just need a weekend of doing nothing to feel recharged and rejuvenated for the rest of the week or the rest of the month, rather than doing slight little activities here and there that will help you recharge, but at the same time, you're still exerting so much energy during the day that you don't feel like you've replenished yourself fully, right? You haven't gotten fully to 100%. And even if you got to 100%, it's always a matter of like, you're losing 10%, then you're gaining them again, then you're losing them, then you're gaining them. Whereas if you just allow yourself to recharge fully while doing nothing, the only thing you're focusing on is recharging. And that goes a lot faster. You're not spending that energy, you're saving it up, overflowing, and then you can spend it appropriately on the things that you want to do in life. So yeah, that was my video today about burnout. That was my podcast about burnout today. I hope there was good tips in there that are going to resonate with you, that you're going to enjoy. If so, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, share this video with other people that could benefit from it as well. As I say all the time, I'm trying to build a community here. I can only do my part of the job, which means showing up, trying to find good topics every single week to talk to you guys about, express myself as clearly as I can. But I really want your help and need your help. If you have somebody in your life that you think will require this video, will benefit from it, will resonate with it, please, please, please send it their way. Yeah, please just send it their way. I think it'll be a beautiful thing, and hopefully it can help them too. And for the people that are listening to the podcast, I appreciate you. I really, really do. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you could subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, rate the podcast if you feel called to do so. And yeah, without further ado, I'm going to go. I'll see you guys next week. And very, very soon, the background will change. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, I love you guys. Bye.